Thank you for joining us for Achieving Your Savings Goals, your guide to smart savings. Our mission at Consolidated Credit is to assist families throughout the United States in ending financial crisis and solving money management problems through education and professional counseling. We do financial counseling, debt management services, housing counseling, and financial education. I'm so glad that you are attending this today because this is a very important topic that many of us neglect to address. What are savings and why are they important? Savings is the portion of income not spent that you put away to use at a later time. Methods of savings include putting money aside in a deposit account, pension account, an investment fund, or even as cash under your mattress, which isn't as safe as the other methods mentioned. It is important because none of us know what will happen in the future. Money should be saved to pay for the unexpected events that come along, such as car repairs, medical emergencies, etc. Money can also be saved for a large purchase or perhaps a vacation. So when it comes to establishing smart savings goals, you want them to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely, aka SMART. For a specific goal, that has a much greater chance of being accomplished than a general goal. So to set a specific goal, you must answer the 6 W questions. Who, as for who is involved. What, for what do I want to accomplish. Where, identify a location. When, that's establishing a time frame. Which identifies requirements and constraints. And why, what is the specific reason, purpose, or benefit of accomplishing said goal. So for example, a general goal would be to get in shape, but a specific goal would say, join a health club and work out 3 days a week. For the M, which is measurable, you want to establish concrete criteria for measuring progress towards the attainment of each goal you set. When you measure your progress, you stay on track, reach your target dates, and experience the exhilaration of achievement that spurs you on to continued effort required to reach your goal. To determine if your goal is measurable, ask questions such as how much, how many, and how will I know when it's accomplished. For achievable, when you identify goals that are most important to you, you begin to figure out ways you can make them come true. You develop the attitude, abilities, skills, and the financial capacity to reach them. You begin seeing previously overlooked opportunities to bring yourself closer to the achievement of your goals. You can attain most any goal you set and plan with your steps wisely and establish a time frame that allows you to carry out those steps. Goals that may have seemed far away or out of reach eventually move closer and become more achievable, not because your goals shrink, but because you grow and expand to match them. The R is for realistic. To be realistic, a goal must represent an objective towards which you are both willing and able to work. A goal can be both high and realistic. You are the only one who can decide just how high your goal should be. But be sure that every goal represents substantial progress. And last, the T is timely. A goal should be grounded within a time frame. With no time frame tied to it, there's no sense of urgency. If you want to lose 10 pounds, well, when do you want to lose it by? Someday just won't work. But if you anchor it within a time frame, say by May 1st, then you've set your unconscious mind into motion to begin working on that goal. Savings goals can be anything from a down payment for a home, paying for college, a new car, etc. Once you have your goal planned out, then you can figure out how much and how long it will take. There are goal tracking worksheets available online. The worksheets break down what your short, medium, and long-term goals are, the estimated cost, date to achieve, and how much you will need to save per week or month. Remember the SMART goals from the previous slide. Regardless of what stage you're in, you are likely to have some short and long-term personal financial goals. Setting tangible and realistic goals, following them, and tracking your progress is the key to success in achieving them. Now, if you're married or have a significant other, it is absolutely essential that you and your spouse or other both share the same financial goals. Otherwise, achieving them is almost impossible. Develop your plans together and review your progress together to make sure both of you are contributing towards the same goals. Deciding what your short-term, mid-term, and long-term personal financial goals are is the first step. Some common goals, again, include dream vacations, a new home, college savings for your kids, retirement savings, and an emergency fund. Now, once you've both agreed on them, the next step is determine how good an estimate for how much money you'll need for each of them. In order to achieve those goals, again, you will need to have a budget in place to get there. When it comes to successful budgeting, there are 4 steps you need to take. The first is adding up all of your net income. And net income is the money that you have coming into the house after taxes, etc. The next would be to add up all of your expenses. Now, there are 3 different types of expenses. There's fixed, flexible, and discretionary. Your fixed expenses are things that you need, examples, rent, your car payment, car insurance, and they don't change on a month-to-month basis. You know how much they are. Flexible expenses are again things that you need, but they vary month to month depending on your usage. So gas, groceries, utilities, etc. And then lastly, there's discretionary expenses. Now those are the things that you want. For example, movies, going out to dinner, getting your hair done, and those can range on a month-to-month basis as well. So once you have all of your expenses added up, step 3 would be to do the math. You're going to subtract your expense total from your income total and see where you're at. You're either going to be in the positive, which is the black, or the negative, which is the red. And step 4 would be to prioritize, and this is definite if you are in the red. Somehow, some way, you need to make some changes to either A, increase your income, or B, reduce your expenses. Now, in order to maintain your budget, you have to include the whole family. Pay yourself first. Decide what your goals are, and again, they're going to be SMART. Pay down your debt, include savings reserves, and keep good records. The next time you're tempted to buy something, stop and think about the following. Do I really need this item? Ask yourself, is this super important? Is it worth all of the time I spent making the money to pay for it? Can I use my money in a better way right now? Do I really need the priciest item, or will a lower cost item serve me just as well? Will the item be on sale soon? Should I wait? Do I really need brand names, or will the store brand serve my purposes and save me money? Do I happen to know anyone who already owns this item? Do they think it is worthwhile to buy, or do they regret their purchase? Now I'm going to discuss different ways to save. Treat yourself, but use it as an opportunity to save. So match the cost of your non-essential indulgences in savings. So for example, if you splurge on a smoothie while out running errands, put the same amount into your savings account. And think of it this way. If you can't afford to save the matching amount, then you really can't afford the treat either. Another way would be to calculate purchases by hours worked instead of cost. Take the amount of the item you're considering purchasing and divide it by your hourly wage. It's a $50 pair of shoes, you make $10 an hour. Ask yourself if those shoes are really worth 5 long hours of work. The next would be to aim for short-term savings goals. Make a goal such as setting aside $20 a week or a month rather than a longer-term savings goal. People save more successfully when they keep short-term goals in sight. Next would be to establish your budget. We just discussed that. Are you looking for an easy way to begin? On the first day of a new month, get a receipt for everything you purchase. Stack the receipts into categories like restaurants, groceries, and personal care. And at the end of the month, you will be able to clearly see where your money is going. You can also budget with cash and envelopes, or use the envelope system. If you do have trouble overspending, try the envelope budget system where you use a set amount of cash for most of your spending. And once the cash is gone, then it's gone. Next, don't save money just to save, but actually save it. There's a difference between saving money and saving for your future. So don't just spend less. Put the money that you save into a savings account to a plan for college expenses, retirement, or emergencies that can leave you financially better off. And lastly, use the 24-hour rule. This rule helps to avoid purchasing expensive or unnecessary items on impulse. Think over each non-essential purchase for at least 24 hours. This is particularly easy while doing online shopping because you can add items to your cart or wish list and then come back to them a day or two later. How to grow your savings. First and foremost, pay yourself first. Payroll deduction is one of the best ways to save for those who struggle with it. With this approach, you will have money automatically taken from your paycheck and transferred to a savings or retirement account. The next thing you could do is set up automatic transfers. Check with your bank or credit union about how to do automatic transfers from your checking to savings. This is another way of paying yourself first. This is also good if you happen to be taking advantage of a high-yield online savings account. Now please remember that this is mainly a one-way transfer, unless it's an emergency. Third, round up your savings. Some financial institutions will round up your debit card purchases. So for example, Bank of America will round up to the next dollar amount and put the change into a savings account for you. Next, you can bank your deposits. If you happen to save money on your groceries or shopping because of coupons, etc., put the extra left over into your savings account. And lastly, save your change. Loose change adds up. Keep it in a jar or a piggy bank, and you'll be amazed by how much it adds up. So what are emergency savings? I've been mentioning it for the whole presentation. This is money put aside for just that, an emergency. It is recommended that you have at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a savings account. Think of this as a type of insurance in case you happen to lose your job or your car breaks down, etc. You should first calculate what your living expenses are. Tally up how much you spend each month on mortgage or rent, utility bills, groceries, and vehicle expenses. You should have at least enough to cover your living expenses for 3 months and probably even more. You should always create a list of acceptable expenses that this money has been designated for. Ensure that they are true emergencies. Again, things like covering your living costs during periods of unemployment, medical emergencies, paying for repairs to your home that occur as a result of a natural disaster or fire, emergency veterinarian bills, unforeseen vehicle repairs, etc. The whole point of this fund is to prevent you from having to add to your debt in times of need or scrambling to wrangle up the money at the last minute. You definitely want to ensure that this money is safely stowed in your account for those occasions when you need it. There may be times when it will be tempting to use this money toward a vacation, paying off significant debts, putting a down payment on a new home, or any other significant expense that arises. For those who have had unforeseen circumstances happen, they can tell you how happy they were that they had funds available. But for those who didn't, they would definitely tell you the opposite. They would probably let you know how hard it is to come up with the money needed to get by. They also probably had to depend on high-interest credit cards or short-term loans to get by. Having an emergency fund can keep your stress levels down by knowing that in case anything happens, you will be covered. Now, there are different types of places where you can save your money and different types of accounts that would help you save as well. So you can save at a traditional bank, credit union, or an online bank through a savings account, money market account, CD, or savings bonds. So when it comes to a savings account, or a share account as they call it with a credit union, minimum initial deposit is usually anywhere from $25 to $100. But you want to make certain that the monthly fees are not charged for small balances. They usually yield about 0.2 to 0.5% of interest, and they're government insured. You want to make sure and ask your financial institution, whether it's a traditional bank or a credit union, what they offer on their savings accounts. Now, when it comes to online savings accounts, your minimum initial deposit is usually as low as $1 at some institutions, and they yield more around 1 to 2% interest rates. They are also government insured, and your access to funds can also be immediate. So you can go online and do a lot of research of what they call high yield interest savings accounts. There's also U.S. savings bonds, which you can open online at treasurydirect.gov. You can open with an initial deposit as low as $25. They usually yield anywhere from 1 to 2% interest. They're also government guaranteed, but there are penalties if you would like to take out your money before 12 months. So you can go online and check that out as well. Next, there's money market accounts. Minimum initial deposit could be as low as $250 at some institutions. They yield 0.1 to 0.3 interest rates. They're also government insured, and there may be penalties for taking out money too early. So those are things that you can look into on how to grow your savings. Please check out our website for interactive calculators, Ask the Expert tips, downloadable booklets, and videos. And you can also call the number to speak with a counselor as well. Knowledge of Financial Education, or COFFEE, is a financial educational program created by Consolidated Credit for employers to offer to their employees. COFFEE will help employees to master their money with user-friendly tools and resources. From the online portal to live webinars and a dedicated team of professional financial coaches, employees will have access to ongoing education and support. For more information, please email info@coffeetime.com. I would like to thank you for joining me, and I hope that you found this to be very informative. Have a wonderful day.